And just as we all expected, West Virginia won the football game 44-27 over NC State. This is another edition of Musings from the Mountains. We're high above Mountaineer Field, giving you some instant post-game reaction. I'm Keenan Cummings, managing editor of WVSports.com.
And I'm Patrick Kotnik, staff writer for WVSports.com.
Wow. Two different football teams. Two completely different football teams, Patrick.
Completely.
Yeah, it started up front. I thought West Virginia did a really good job. They come into this game with a very, very good game plan against NC State. Got them going east and west a lot, tired them out late in the game. They were able to go north and south. Offensive line did their job, not only running the ball, and that goes up and down to every asset of the team. We talked about this last time. Receivers blocked, running backs hit the hole. They made people miss. The offensive line, and we come into this game, I think anybody that was following this team or has followed this team maybe was panicking. And West Virginia was out their two starting guards. Turns out James Gamitter, the combination of James Gamitter, Chase Barrett, and John Hughes did West Virginia well. They came into this game not being able to run the football at all, 1.1 yards per carry. Looking at the stat sheet here, West Virginia had a total of 173 rushing yards. They had 64 yards in two games coming into this game. Kennedy McCoy actually outpaced that himself. Speaks volumes to what West Virginia was able to do, Pat.
I mean, we knew after the Missouri game that was their true taste of adversity. That's something we've said over and over again, and that we were going to find out a lot about this West Virginia team against NC State today, and we did. If you're West Virginia, this is the best response possible. Not only do you win, but you do it almost in a convincing fashion. You score 44 points. Like you mentioned, the run game gets going. Even with three new starters, James Gamitter, Bryson Mays, John Hughes, each made their first career start. Even with three new starters on the offensive line, to have that kind of performance against a team that was shutting down the run in their first two games. That's impressive. Now I know NC State, there are questions that they didn't play anybody, but still, the run game, offensive line, running backs, even the perimeter blocking with the wide receivers, just outstanding today.
Neil Brown said it best. I thought this was a big week for West Virginia. Pat agreed with me. I think most of Mountaineer Nation felt this was a big week for this football team. Not necessarily if they won or lost, but how they responded.
And they did.
If you can't respond in a situation where your head coach and your coordinator, your position coach are basically calling out your toughness, questioning your manhood, you're in trouble. You're in trouble for the football season. West Virginia not only responded, they started fast, got out to a lead, had one hiccup, allowed NC State to get ahead, but pretty much controlled this football game for the most part. Thought Austin Kendall played pretty well. I think it speaks volumes going back to the run game that West Virginia's first rush over 10 yards on the season, they didn't have a rush over 10 yards. Their first was a botched double pass play. That's when you knew West Virginia was going to have a good day.
I also want to point out, too, on that play, and especially that, and later on with that 51-yard rush by Sam James, two key blocks, like I said, on that broken play with Sean Ryan, it's supposed to be a double pass play. Austin Kendall, the lead blocker, had a key block there on the outside, allowed Sean Ryan to spring free a little bit. And then Michael Laughlin, I really felt like this was kind of overlooked. He did exactly what you want to do when you're running to the outside, running towards the sideline blocking. He looked inside, got a nice block down. Sam James was able to break loose. Two key blocks there, and that just speaks volumes to how this team responded.
You talked about Austin Kendall, the blocker. How about Austin Kendall, the quarterback? I thought he played really well today. Bounced back after last week. Of course, it helps when you're not getting hit every time you throw the ball. 27 for 40. He threw 3 touchdowns. He pretty much controlled pace of the play. He had one mistake in this game, and he immediately said in post-game, probably should have stepped up in the pocket there and not tried to throw a weak throw across the middle, and he got caught on that. How he responded after that, though, says a lot about him. I think this was a game of responses. How West Virginia responded after that turnover said a lot, too. They were able to hold NC State to 3 points, keep the lead, went down, scored a touchdown, and was able to put the game away effectively. This is a big win for West Virginia, any way you slice it. I'm not sure how good this NC State football team is. We won't know until the end of the year. But this was a game they needed to have. West Virginia's going on the road to Kansas, which of all places is now going to be a more difficult matchup than we thought.
We saw what they did to Boston
after they boat raced BC. I think that this was a game West Virginia needed to have, and they did it in convincing fashion over a Power 5 opponent. This team's 2-1 right now. And I think if anybody asked you before the season, would you take 2-1 with the schedule? Yes. I think you'd probably say yes. And if you didn't, you probably had a little higher expectations than most of us. We'll be getting back to a lot more about this game, about what Neil has to say, and some other things here in our next episode. But I want to touch with you quick. Feel free to ask us any questions you have on the Blue Lot. We're going to have a lot of content coming over the next couple hours, next couple days. Be excited. Football is back in a big way, and West Virginia got a big win that they really needed. This has been another edition of Musings from the Mountains.